Welcome to the virtual COExperience. This session is called Building the Digital Thread with 3DEXPERIENCE and Other Systems. We're going to focus on vendor-to-vendor integration between 3DEXPERIENCE and other PLM, PDM, ERP, MES, ALM type systems and engineering and manufacturing domains. My name is Brian Scouten. I'm Director of Technical Presales at PROSTEP Inc. and I'm excited to be putting this on today. So we're going to start and talk about PROSTEP, a little bit about what we were founded to do in integration and data exchange. Then follow that up with integration strategies for 3DEXPERIENCE, talk about different methods of integrating, as well as different use cases where you would want to use this. And then finally, PROSTEP integration solutions. And so that's software that PROSTEP offers in order to accomplish these types of integrations, including a couple of demonstrations. PROSTEP is a vendor-neutral, independent company providing expertise in vendor-to-vendor integration, as well as data exchange. So our shareholders are at the bottom. This includes mostly Tier 1 and automotive OEMs from Europe, and then also the PROSTEP IVIP. And PROSTEP IVIP is a nonprofit standards body that specializes in engineering and manufacturing standards for data exchange. The PROSTEP IVIP Association was also founded in 1993. And is a group that's dedicated to providing standards and also leading forums in order to improve these neutral formats and actually provide their standards process. So creating ISO standards or OAGIS standards, things like this. PROSTEP IVIP Association is also interested in providing different standards that can be utilized throughout the product lifecycle. And so they might be more domain specific, but being able to bridge the different domains and vendor-to-vendor integration using formats, and that could be with requirements with RecIF in the beginning, system modeling, UML, JT or AP242 step data, other step 10303 data, IDX, OSLC for link data and federation, as well as long-term archiving and additive manufacturing type standards. Part of what makes PROSTEP is its independence and its vendor neutrality. And we are partnering with all the major vendors within the ecosystem for engineering. That includes PLM vendors like Dassault Systems or Siemens, PTC, and others, as well as other CAD providers, analysis software, requirements management, ALM, ERP, and other types of domains. PROSTEP has a long history of partnership with Dassault Systems. And that goes back to CAA development for CATIA V5 and before, as well as Matrix 1 integration before it was Innovia even, and then also now modern integrations for 3DX data exchange, XPDM interfaces, and as well as other one-part integrations and other things. PROSTEP's core focus is to solve these modern Industry 4.0 product lifecycle challenges. So that might be, trying to handle the complexity and using integration, speed things up, or offer exchange of data between suppliers and OEMs, things of that nature. And then couple that with some of these strategic themes, right? So MBD and MBE, model-based systems engineering, digital twin and digital master, and software, hardware, ECAD, and manufacturing integrations. So moving on, I'd like to talk a little bit about the integration strategies and use cases with 3DEXPERIENCE. So the need for the digital thread is really driven from this cost of the complexity of modern products. And it's just that that modern products have more components to them. They could be different domain-driven components like software and ECAD components, as well as mechanical components. There's generally a larger volume of them coming from more suppliers. The suppliers have a bigger responsibility in the engineering. And all this data needs to be, not only validated up front, but then also retained and possibly as a deliverable to your customer, and make sure that it's available for sustainability. But ultimately, the goal of this is to try and bring together the information so that it's available to those who need it. So bring that timely, accurate, and complete and up-to-date information so you can validate it early. And this is going to lower your costs and lower the changes that are needed and bring that transparency forward. Because the overall system is bigger, you're going to need to manage it better. And really, that kind of sums up the need for the digital thread. So the digital thread includes a lot of different use cases, and these vary between organizations. So it could be that yours might be different, but these are just some common use cases where integration is used in order to solve some of these challenges. One of the most common is this line with the box in black that goes from PLM to MRP or ERP. And this is the creation of engineering data to manufacturing systems. So it could be that a MES system or an ERP system is taking that EBOM and creating that possibly with routing information and process planning and things like this. So that's number one. After that, you might have different types of integrations like simulation data management for analysis with PLM. That system's going to require that there's binary data replicated. So you might need to take that engineering binary data, replicate it into your simulation data management so you could run analysis, and then maybe feed back to the original designer some results and reports on that analysis so they can incorporate that within the design itself. There's also change dependency, and this could come from multiple different systems. This example in the green has ALM with software and PLM with hardware. But it could also be different types of changes for manufacturing or even driven from outside in the cloud. Systems engineering and model-based systems engineering traceability really bridges a lot of different domains, but is intended to drive together requirements, software, hardware, test cases from analysis, as well as manufacturing data, and try and put those all together so that you can get a holistic view of the system to understand the impacts and do effective validation. So another integration that's very popular now. There's also production scheduling, forecasting, further down in the product lifecycle. And then also at the end, this cloud edge, bringing together software feedback from out in service or within the manufacturing sphere, and then taking that and providing this to PLM for problem and usage reports, or ALM for updates in the software, and driving changes there. So a lot of different use cases that we could use for integration. So at PROSTEP, we've created what we're calling the API for the digital thread. And really, this is a collection of different tools that we use in order to perform some functions that are common in integration. So those functions are at the top here with replicate, federate, collaborate, and communicate. With replication, it could be that the binary data that you have in one system needs to be put into the other system. So models of these data models don't always fit, and you might need to be able to massage it and map it in order to get it into a format that it goes into the other system. And there might be some data loss if they're not the same type of system. But with replication, we actually pull the data out, transform it and put it into the other system. And normally this would be done, for a integration that moves binary data or a migration type of scenario. Second, federation, and that's not moving the binary data, but creating traceability between these different systems. So this is popular with OSLC standard within the ALM domain, and providing links, right, that can be populated within one system that then can push or pull data into it in order to provide some visibility to it. So within ALM or within model-based systems engineering, if you want to be able to look in 3DEXPERIENCE and then reference the data, then you can do that using these types of standards. Third is collaboration, and this could be replication or different types of communication, but done over the enterprise border. So trying to bring together closely suppliers as well as OEMs or other partners in order to build that bridge that makes this data exchange successful. And that could be with a PLM to PLM direct integration that is more common for joint ventures, but also in aerospace could be a major supplier of a system or something of that nature, where you're trying to bridge this data because the design data is so intertwined. But that also could be just secure exchange of data between your different partners, and doing that more easily with integrated plugins that can transform data into what your partner needs, and do it securely and automatically, and not waste time trying to get that data out of the system in the right format for them. And then finally, communication, and this is trying to take engineering data and then using lightweight formats in order to provide that data to other recipients. So it could be that they have a more role-based place with this engineering data using formats like 3D PDF and HTML5 and our service content portal. But we try and focus on this, and if you look at the diagram, try and focus on it really on the back end. So you have your clients that are at the bottom. Those could be even, these system clients, but where you would generate the binary type of data that would need to be managed. You got your data management applications there in the middle with your PLM, SDM, ALM, and requirements management. And then we have the integration layer on top of that. So it's important that we have that integration layer on top, because digital thread is going to require that you have more permanent data associated within these databases, so you can trace to it and build on that for sustainability in the long run. And then with those different connectors to those systems, then we can provide these services. With federation and replication, communication, or doing step conversion, things like this. So let's look at some PROSTEP integration solutions now. PROSTEP has 3 core products that it uses for integrating with 3DX. First is on the right, it's called OpenPDM. And this is a set of different connectors that we use in order to pull data out and push data into these systems for integration purposes. And really, with these connectors, what we're doing is allowing each of them to speak the same language. So in the middle, everything is kind of neutralized into a format that's easily exchangeable between these systems. And you can have 2, 3, 4 connectors between different systems and replicate and federate and migrate data between them. And then once it's in that neutral format, you create step data from it and perform other types of automation, simplification type operations. Our second product is OpenDXM Global X on the upper left, and this is a secure data exchange platform that's tightly integrated with 3DX. So we have plugins for 3DX where you can go and select the data you want to send, select the recipient, click go, and then behind the scenes, it will export that data, put in the type of packaging and format that needs to be in, and then securely send that data to the customer. It can also take data from the customer as that interface in that portal, and the customer can import it, tell you all about the data. You can, then do a quality check on that data, make sure that it's good enough, it has the attributes and the consistency it needs to go in your environment, and then import it into 3DX directly. And then finally, communicating these TDPs with our PDF Generator 3D and also HTML5 with Service Content Generator. And so our PDF Generator runs on AEM Forms. It's the Adobe Enterprise server for generating 3D PDFs. And we can pull data out of 3DEXPERIENCE and then generate the PDF there and publish that in kind of a role-based PDF form to marketing or procurement and suppliers and customers and technical data packages for manufacturing and other types of purposes. So it could be a wide variety of applications that it's used with. So with OpenPDM, we're able to integrate, migrate, federate, and collaborate data between these other connectors and 3DEXPERIENCE. There are a variety of different connectors for 3DX that we offer, and some of it is historical based, and others depends on the use case that you want to use the data and what modules you might want to enable within 3DX. The first is our 3DX connector that uses this Java RMI interface shown on the upper left. And that enables a legacy MQL style integration. So using RMI to perform those types of operations behind the scenes that isn't always supported in the modern modules, but still has some uses for historical 3DX versions, as well as for modules that are older and still in use. The second is the XPDM adapter. And this is used to create a unified product structure, but then also import CAD data with powered by PLM collaboration services, supporting CATIA, Creo, and other types of formats for import. And then the third and the most modern interface is our REST interface. So we have a connector coming out soon that supports the 3DX REST interface available with 2020X FO4. And this is supporting a lot of manufacturing and Delmia use cases primarily. In the middle, we have different tools that we also include with OpenPDM, and that might be staging databases for performing migrations, STEP toolkit for transferring data into STEP or out of STEP, not just CAD and geometry data, but also PLM data. CAD process handling and interrogation, and security and web services and automation and other things as well. So I'd like to show an example of this integration. This is Windchill and 3DX with OpenPDM. And we have a commercial off-the-shelf product, OpenPDM Connect, that includes this pre-configured use case for doing a design integration between these systems. So that's something that we can quickly deploy and get running. So we can also add to that other customer-specific logic, but it already comes pre-configured for doing this fairly easily. We're going to do bidirectional synchronization, starting in Windchill. We're going to take a look at the structure in here. We have our test data. It's a torque converter, and it's an assembly, probably 30, 40 components. We're going to sit on the top level and say send to V6, and then That's going to go ahead and behind the scenes trigger OpenPDM and exchange that data. That data is imported using the XPDM adapter. Because of that, you can use it within design mode here, and you could also use it in Delmia or in other types of applications within 3DX because of the powered by integration, PLM collaboration services integration. So we're going to go ahead and add an existing product. We've got another subassembly of the torque converter that can be added within here. So we'll go ahead and search for that and then add that. And then we'll see that in the updated design. There you go. And we're going to go and save this back in 3DX and then initiate the transfer back through XPDM to trigger OpenPDM in order to synchronize it with Windchill. So go ahead and save that and then sync it back to Windchill. And this is going to export it through the XPDM adapter and then use the Windchill connector in order to import that data. And it'll be available within Windchill. So now within Windchill, if we go to the structure, it's more complete, including the other subassemblies here, as well as generating the Creo view data. So you can take a look and drill down through there and see that the Creo view is available for these new structures. So we can go see that there's usage in occurrence links, make sure that it's all set properly, and see the attributes and other types of information for it, as well as visualization. We can set all sorts of data here, so lifecycle templates and status and other types of Windchill data as well. Here's another example of integration, this one with Teamcenter and 3DX. And we're going to start within Teamcenter in this one, and then opening up the structure manager. We've got a nose cone for an aircraft. Load that within CATIA V5. You can see the TCIC and CATIA V5 integrated. And then we're going to use a combination of our Teamcenter and a Teamcenter connector, as well as the TCIC controller that we have in order to export that data. So we go to 3DX. We can use our widget for OpenPDM, query live and kind of federate that data. And then click go on that to ask for the synchronization. And we can see that a process started within the OpenPDM admin page, and you can watch these processes and what's going on with all the processes there. Once that's been completed, you see we've got our VPM reference created, and we can open it up in the structure editor and change that structure. So we add that here. What we want to do now that we're in 3DX is, say we're doing harness design here, then we can go ahead and add the harness to the nose cone using this existing product. And now that it's all assembled together, we can save it and using XPDM, send it back to Teamcenter. So that transfer is going to queue some new activity in OpenPDM, process the data through that XPDM adapter, and then import the data through the TCIC controller so that you have CATIA V5 data available. And now you see your wire harness as well as nose cone together within CATIA V5 in Teamcenter. OpenPDM has a wide range of connectors that really come in a lot of different categories. But at the bottom here, you see our standard PLM or PDM type connectors that include 3DX, Windchill, Teamcenter, Smart Team, VPM, Eigner PLM, Aris Innovator, and others. Also support for a lot of legacy systems and a lot of connectors that aren't on here. As well. On the right-hand side, ERP and ALM systems like Rational, Engineering, Lifecycle Management, and Integrity, as well as Exalead, ThingWorx, and other platforms like that. And we can implement a connector for your legacy system as well if you need to plug into our platform. We've got the CAD connectors for handling CATIA and 3DEXPERIENCE, CATIA V5, NX, and Creo. And these are connectors really for interrogating the data to understand the attributes of CAD, the dependencies and relationships for integration and migration purposes. And then different formats on the left. So OSLC for integrating into Magic Draw and Cameo, as well as other ALM platforms, web services that really give you the availability of all this type of data, and then STEP and XML type formats so that you can export and import and plug those in. Another product from PROSTEP is OpenDXM Global X. And so this is a secure data exchange platform that's tailored for engineering and manufacturing data and integrated into 3DEXPERIENCE. So we have our plugin within 3DX where you can select where you want to send the data. That means what data you want to send, as well as the recipient of that data, and it will automatically behind the scenes, open up that data, export it, convert it into a format that your recipient, needs. So that if that's, your OEM and they need it in a different format, it'll do that. Do that quality check, maybe rename and map the data into a format that's appropriate for them, package it up, and then send it out. And it would actually send an email that says, hey, your data's ready, and then your recipient can just, come in and then pull that data down, and it will log the transaction of when they arrive and pull the data down. There's also deeper integrations that you can have in order to provide more Dropbox-like functionality over to your customers and suppliers, or even your own, right? So you can integrate it with email, have a Windows Send To type button as well. And then on the import side, supporting different data formats like OFTP2 and ENGDAT. Be able to take data from your suppliers, import it, check the quality, so make sure the attributes are right, make sure that all the data is there that you need, examine the CAD and do a CAD quality check, and compare it to what is already existing within 3DX and import it there too. And this uses the similar technology to OpenPDM and leverages those connectors. So it'll give you, powered by PLM collaboration interfaces, as well as 3DX and new REST connector too. We can also communicate effectively with our PDF generator 3D and also can generate HTML5. This uses the same interfaces from OpenPDM that we discussed before to pull CAD data out, do the translation, and then put maybe a PDF, a 3D PDF back in, and can accomplish a lot of different tasks like creating TDPs for manufacturing, work instructions, maintenance manuals, long-term archiving, and use it as a container to put STEP data or MS Docs or other data in. Remember that PROSTEP is here to help. So we've got hundreds of experts in different PLMs, including a lot in 3DX and Dassault products. We're also very well versed in standards, being that we are PROSTEP and part of the PROSTEP IVIP nonprofit consortium. and provide software and services in order to accomplish your integration needs, whatever they might be. Thank you for attending. Again, this is Brian Scouten. I'm Director of Technical Pre-Sales for PROSTEP Inc. If you've got any questions or comments or interest, drop me an email at brian.scouten@prostep.com, or you can call us at 8PROSTEP01 as well. And we'd appreciate the feedback too. Yep. Thanks again, and hope you enjoy the rest of COE.